Now, did Prime Minister Rishi Sunak lie in PMQs last week when Deidre Brock asked this question?
Mr. Speaker, while the final report of the infected blood inquiry has been postponed until March, Sir Brian Langstaff, the independent chair, has already published his recommendations on compensation for victims of that scandal. Can the Prime Minister explain why his government insists on postponing its response until after publication of the final report, kicking it into the long grass and delaying justice once again for my constituents Justine, Rachel and Paul, whose fathers died as a result of that scandal, as well as thousands of others across these aisles?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I said previously from the dispatch box, what happened was an appalling tragedy, and my heart goes out to all of those affected and their families. I've given extensive evidence to the inquiry, so my position on this matter is on the record, but I would say there is extensive work that has been going on in government for a long time, coordinated by the Minister for the Cabinet Office, as well as interim payments of £100,000 being made to those who are affected.
The background of the contaminated blood controversy is where an estimated 26,800 people in the UK received infected blood transfusions and blood products contaminated with HIV or hepatitis C between 1970 and the early 1990s. Individuals who had haemophilia were especially impacted. I'll leave a link in the description box below if you want more information about this subject. Now, the one thing I always look out for after statements or topicals is points of orders. It's amazing what little nuggets of information you pick up. Point of order, Dame Diana Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'd like to raise a point of order which you've had notice of. First of all, yesterday in Prime Minister's Question Time, the Honourable Member for Edinburgh North and Leith asked the Prime Minister about compensation for those infected and affected by the contaminated blood scandal. The Prime Minister responded, and I quote from Hansard at column 830.
But I would say there is extensive work that has been going on in government for a long time, coordinated by the Minister for the Cabinet Office, as well as interim payments of £100,000 being made to those who are affected.
This is factually incorrect, and I hope that the record can be corrected, as not all those affected have received interim payments. A parent who lost a child or a child who lost a parent in the scandal have received no such interim payment, despite clear recommendations from Sir Brian Langstaff, the chair of the Infected Blood Inquiry, that these payments should be extended immediately. This confusion by the Prime Minister and his officials is deeply hurtful to those who are still waiting for the government to respond to Sir Brian Langstaff's second interim report on compensation published in April this year. Sir Brian made it very clear that a compensation scheme should be set up now and it should begin work this year. We are nearly in November, very close to the end of 2023, and still no clarity from the government. We have no idea what progress has been made by the government on its work, despite being told repeatedly it was at pace and working towards the original November deadline for the publication of the final report, which is now due out in March. Surely the government have some progress to report to the House. The government has also failed to explain why victims of the infected blood scandal are being treated differently to the victims of the Post Office Horizon scandal, who have rightly received compensation before their public inquiry into their scandal has concluded. Finally, if the government is determined to needlessly delay justice to victims of the infected blood scandal, this makes the need to extend interim payments to bereaved parents, children and siblings, as recommended by Sir Brian, even more critical. The clue is in the word. They are interim payments to be paid before the final compensation payments. And this is why what the Prime Minister said yesterday is so wrong. There has been not one word on whether the interim payments will be extended. And I wondered whether you might be able to assist me, Madam Deputy Speaker, in getting the government to tell the House of Commons what it is doing in relation to Sir Brian's final recommendations on compensation.
First of all, can I thank the Right Honourable Lady for her point of order and for giving notice of it. I know how hard she's campaigned on this, and I know it is a matter of concern to members on all sides of the House. She's raised a number of issues some of which are obviously ongoing and will be, I'm sure, raised in other ways as well. But first of all, she did raise an issue where she said she thought the Prime Minister had perhaps made an incorrect statement, and she will know that the Speaker is always very anxious that if any information has been said inadvertently that's incorrect, that it should be corrected at the earliest opportunity. She's also raised a number of issues about when the government might be coming forward with further information. Fortunately, we do have the Leader of the House here, who I could see was listening very closely to what the Right Honourable Lady had said, and I think she wishes to come in.
Madam Deputy Speaker, and I'll be very brief, but I'm sure that if there was a business question session going on, the Honourable Lady would have been asking this question. I thank her for the work she has done and the work of her all-party group on this matter. The position that, as she sets out, is correct. I don't think that, I was here yesterday, obviously, I don't think the Prime Minister was seeking to state it was otherwise. What I will do, given that we don't have a business statement today, is I will write to the Cabinet Office Minister on the specific issue of the compensation for those who are affected but haven't received compensation, interim payments, and ask that he consider what she has said today and update her and the House at the earliest opportunity. But what I would also stress is that the compensation study was set up to be concurrent activity with the inquiry so that we could move swiftly to make amends for this appalling injustice. I know, because I've had meetings on this with my officials yesterday, that that is very much the view also of the Minister who has responsibility for this in the Cabinet Office. He is very determined to make progress on these things quickly, and practical things we can do in the interim. She has my assurance on that. My involvement in this is ensuring that if any legislation is needed, we are ready to do that. And I just would want to reassure this House and thank the Honourable Lady for the opportunity that this government that set up this inquiry is determined to ensure that all people infected and affected have justice.
Sorry for the long reply from Dame Rosie Winterton and Penny Mordaunt, but I just felt what they had to say was very, very important. But clearly when the Leader of the House, Penny Mordaunt, said this,
the position that, as she sets out, is correct. I don't think that, I was here yesterday, obviously, I don't think the Prime Minister was seeking to state it was otherwise.
Clearly says that what Dame Diana Johnson said was factually correct. And it will be very, very interesting to see whether our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, will correct the record or not. If he does, he probably just made an error and it happens to us all, doesn't it? If he doesn't, what else are we supposed to think then? But anyway, what do you guys think? Let me know down below, and it just leaves me to say farewell and take care, my friend.